And we're back here on Day of Giving with DeNicola from the swimming team. We get to reverse it here. You just interviewed me for the Made by Marymount podcast. Now I get to interview you here for Day of Giving.
Oh, yeah.
So first of all, I guess just tell us why you came to Marymount, what you came to study, and
So I came to Marymount. I'm a communications major, and I want to work in sports media. And I also am on the swim team, like Jimmy said. And so swimming has been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. And when junior year was rolling around and the college application process, was happening, I kind of was like, I'm not ready to hang it all up yet. So I started looking into swimming in college, and Chris Natoli reached out to me, told me a little bit about here. And so I did my own research and figured out where Marymount was, in relations to sports in general. And so where Marymount is, with, being so close to the nation's capital and being so close to baseball, hockey, football, basketball, the whole 9 yards, it was just a great fit for me. And I found that this was the place I was going to be able to excel.
And it was a banner year for Marymount swimming last year. Both the men's and women's teams won their first ever conference title.
Yes, we did.
Walk us through that weekend a little bit. How did some of your teammates step up? When did you know you had it, I guess, on the women's side?
Yeah.
Talk us through that whole weekend.
So we leave for conference on a Thursday, and we swim Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we left on Thursday, and we were ready. I remember we took the bus there, and we were excited. And you would have some people that, have their own way of being ready to swim. Like, some people just, put their headphones in, their hood up, and they kind of keep to themselves. And then some of us are, goofing around with each other the entire time. So the bus ride there was, really high energy, which I think also helped us. And then for conference swimming, we swim once in the morning for what is called prelims, and then finals at night. So we swim twice, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That weekend is really draining. It's a lot because you're high energy, you're swimming really hard. It's cold. Your muscles are tired. So there's a lot going on. So it's, sometimes it can be hard to keep a positive attitude, but we were really able to do that this year. And then Sunday morning rolls around, which can be arguably one of the worst times of your life because you're so tired and, your skin's cracking from the chlorine. You just you're like, one more day. But I think Sunday morning rolled around and we kind of were we're there. We got this. We have got to stay locked in, and we have it. And then naturally that Sunday night, our name was called for, men's and women's both conference championships. And jumping in the pool and having Chris do his belly flop into the pool was honestly something that I will never, ever forget. I'll never forget, running up to my teammates, in our conference champions T-shirts, hugging each other, the tears in our eyes. It was just so exciting, and it was very special because we worked so hard the entire year, for that moment.
And the new season has just gotten underway. How do you build off that now? How do the swimming squads look for 23-24?
We have a lot coming for us this year. I'm excited. We brought in a lot of fast freshmen, both on the men's and women's side, and I'm really excited to see what they're able to accomplish because they're coming in, they want that conference championship just as bad as we want it again. And so I'm really excited. Everybody has a positive attitude. We're not really looking to take no for an answer, which I think is really good this year as well. We get started on the 28th here, so just in 2 weeks, I think is the countdown, 2-ish weeks. So I'm really excited. That's a conference matchup for us. And so I think having a conference matchup first to get us rolling is really strong because we usually don't swim conference first. We usually swim out of conference. And so starting conference heavy, I think will put us in a really good spot, kind of letting us know and putting the conference in tune, for where we stand for the season.
And this is Day of Giving, and the swim team has some major fundraising initiatives. One, of course, is championship rings now, but also you're fundraising for a winter training trip, which you went on last year. How important was that, both to prepare you for conference, but also for team bonding purposes?
I have said it once before, and I will always say it. I don't know if we would have won our conference championship without our training trip on so many different levels. One thing about the training trip that really stood out to me personally, and I know to others, was the way that our team bonded. It was a long week. We flew out to West Palm Beach in Florida. I stayed in Stuart, Florida, and we were there for 4 days. And so it was a lot. We swam twice a day, and we did some dry land outside of that, cardio outside of the pool. So it was a really draining trip, but it was so much fun because Coach Chris Natoli and our assistant coach, Emily Warren, and our old assistant coach, Ryan Donnelly, was able to, find ways for us to, really connect. So, whether it be we got back from our afternoon practice that night and we did, a round of, trivia where we had to, name Chris's kids, or we had to name, I don't know, what somebody went on a certain event in practice. Nobody knows those except for, that specific person, but it was really fun and everybody really got really competitive and, you bonded with people that you don't normally talk to, maybe people outside of your lane. So along with, the swimming that we did there, I think we were really able to bond as a team, which really created like a strong bond, putting us in a really great spot for February.
And we have some challenges for Day of Giving where the swimming teams can earn up to at least $2,000 if they get additional both total funds and donors. Anything you want to say to your alumni base and hopefully a group that was inspired by, the team finally breaking through last year, on top of they had their coach, inducted in the Marymount Hall of Fame last year. So a big year overall for the Marymount swimming program and its alumni.
Speaking on behalf of the swim team, we have a lot to accomplish and, we're just getting started. We're bringing in a lot of fast freshmen that are really going to break records, make a statement. And, training trips and, our conference trip and like rings like that are things that we really get excited about and things that we're really passionate about. So things like that, keep everybody like excited and engaged. And I think that's one of the biggest parts is there's never a dull moment, especially within our team and within our group environment that we have. We're always excited, we're always ready to go, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I really love about our team and that some of that funding helps us out with.
And you took over the Marymount Made by Marymount podcast this year. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I love my podcast. It is called Made by Marymount, and I am the host of it this year. And I interview coaches, student athletes, and administrators, which Jimmy was my first administrator. Little plug there. But, we try to, let these people, coaches, admin, and student athletes tell their own story. It's not told by me. It's an opportunity for somebody to find out something special about somebody else rather than just their title or just their stats. Finding out more about a person, in their own way so they're able to tell their story. And I think that's really special because sometimes as a student athlete, you struggle to find your outside identity. And so I'm trying to give students, coaches, and administration, a platform to share what they love outside of just their sport.
And if you could host one person from outside the world of Marymount athletics on a podcast, who would you interview?
I actually have a bunch, but I won't list them out here. One of them would definitely be the New York Yankees right fielder, Aaron Judge. He is my favorite player. He's been my favorite player since I was in 6th grade, so a very long time. I'm going into my junior year here, so it's a very long time.
I'm a Boston person, so I'm not loving the beginning of this answer, but you can give some others if you'd like.
Another one's obviously, I would actually love to sit down. I joke around about this with my two bosses, Tommy Bennett and Jacob Brown. I would love to be able to sit down and talk with them about like outside of what I already know about them, but how they got here because they get to do something that I love to do every single day. And being able to learn from them is honestly such a treat. So being able to hear about them and, a little bit more would be really special. And then another one that I really would like to talk about is I'd honestly love to sit down and talk to my parents, and kind of like, throw questions at them. Because, they might be my parents, but they are my biggest supporters one way or another. And so being able to be like, so what's something that I've done that you've loved would be a lot of fun to ask them. But yeah, I definitely say, unfortunately, Aaron Judge would be my number one, and then my parents.
Well, Ella, thank you for telling us about the swimming team, and thank you for joining us as a host. I believe your hosting segment is over now as you have to head off for class, so I hope you enjoyed it today helping us out on Day of Giving.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.